Okay, so we'll start fresh here. So kind of like just mentioned, KeyShot is your virtual studio. And the best way to get realistic renderings, because if your lighting's not right, and you've all seen this when you take a picture with your phone and you don't use a filter, if the lighting's not good, the image just doesn't pop. Same as photography. If the lighting isn't right, it doesn't look right. It doesn't look real. It doesn't look good. And that's really even more so in KeyShot. So one of the things is I would suggest, picking up a book on basic photography for studio. Or even just starting to look at finding images of what a photography studio layout looks like. So this image here achieves a certain thing. It's a soft white background with two lights focused on from the left and right up at a 45-degree angle. And it's going to give you a pretty even lighting with minimal shadows coming from different sides. And here you've got a soft light that's diffuse because it's going through this tent-like object. Over here, you've got more of a direct light. So on this side, it's going to have a softer look and feel. On this side, it's going to pop a little bit more. And the whole room, being white, is doing indirect lighting, which means that the lights aren't pointed at, or the light rays are not pointed at the product. They're bouncing off the walls and coming down. So this is exactly something that you would set up in KeyShot to get that exact light look and feel. Now, a lot of this is, I'm not seeing any product photography, but same thing here. You can see that there's a light from the back, and that's providing what's known as rim lighting coming off of the back of her. This key light here, and we'll talk about key lighting, is what's lighting up this whole side. And then you have a softer light here that's just giving a little bit of an edge light up on this side. So it's all about, understanding what you want to call out. And then even then, you've got a whole plethora of different types of lights. And some of these, when we start talking about the HDRI imagery, this is exactly what it is. It's a image that creates in a virtual environment this kind of lighting setup. So you don't have to add all these real lights. Now, HDRI imagery gets you so far. It doesn't allow you to 100% control things where you want it to get, that light highlight. So for example, if I wanted to, and let me see if you can even see this while I'm talking to you. Where did you guys go? So the question is, I don't know if you can see it or not, but can you see that? Yeah, so see how that light reflects off of the phone and you get a very dramatic highlight along there? You're not going to be able to cause that in HDRI. But what you would literally do is you would create this neon light as an object in your environment, make it a light, and then position it to where you want that to be, so you can get a dramatic highlight without having to go in and try to Photoshop something in. And that's where, when you start searching for renderings to look at, what we can do is we'll take time, because I can pretty much, I can't show everybody exactly how every single rendering is done, but I can say, okay, here's what they did. This was achieved by this. This was achieved by this. You know, so it's more guidance. And I'll touch on some of it, I'm sure. Okay, so let's keep going. Let me pull that stuff back up. Now, what we're going to talk about first is we're going to look at HDRI lighting, but then we're also going to look at a basic light setup. And that's called 3-point lighting. And let me dump this into Discord for us. So that's there. And what 3D point, I'm not going to read this all through, but what 3-point lighting does is you've all seen how you make that cube and you've got your 1, 2, 3, you know, light on the top, second lightest on the side, and then the darkest on the other side, and a little bit of a rim light. That's what this does. And it's really a quick and simple thing to start up because you have what's known as your key light, and that light is the most powerful one. That's where you're going to get the most focus. Then you have what's called the fill light, and it's always opposite of the key light. These are both in front, and it is meant to help brighten up the other side. So you still want those 3 contrasts. And the backlight, and it says usually placed, but it is placed behind, helps to create what is known as a edge light. So kind of what I showed you on that female model, where you could see just a light glow along the side. And if we look at, or we search, let's take a look. Well, here's, oh, you know what?
Now with the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 3 on Verizon 5G, there's no more fear of missing out. Download a movie on the go.
Let's just go back and we're going to dump that into there as well. Okay. Let's go to images. So yeah, you can see some great reference material for this. Let's go with this. Sometimes it's all in how you type it. Okay. So here's a perfect example. The key shot, or the key light, fill light, the key light is on the right-hand side. The fill light is on the left-hand side. So here you've got your brightest. You still want some lighting over on this side, so the image is being lit that way. And then in order to get that edge of the back of the product, that's where the fill light is coming in. So you can kind of see it just like that. Does that make sense to everyone? Are you following along with the explanation?
Yeah.
Okay. I would like to find, not people, but a product. I'll look for some of those samples later. So this document is going to communicate how to do it. It's even going to give you some suggestions on the type of lights. This one has actually been updated because it's for YouTube videos. And it actually specs out what to buy. Now the nice thing is, so here you can see where it says brightness, color, temperature, and key elements in a video lighting setup. Well, all of this, when it talks about a warmer, cooler temperature, these are all the settings that we will have in KeyShot. So when I find a photography shot and you type in how was this, explanations on how the photo was shot, they'll spec out, backlight was X, Y, and Z, and we used color temperature, and it was 2700 Kelvin, and we had a pure white light. All those things I can dump into KeyShot and make my adjustments, and I'll show you guys how to do that as well, or where that is. So for the sake of today's class, what I want to do is show you how to quickly walk through and understand better HDR lighting and how that's used. And then we'll dive into setting up a simple 3-point lighting. Okay? Now, before we dive into that, this is always a good break point for the video before we transition into that. Do you guys want to take your quick 15-minute break, and then we'll start with KeyShot as soon as we get back? Benji says,
yeah, that works for me.
okay, excellent. Let me pause this. Or actually, I'm going to stop.